Most people think horror is about ghosts. It's not. It's about realizing you were never alone to begin with. Tonight, I'm going to tell you 4 stories, and every single one of them could actually happen. And that's what makes them worse. What if the scariest thing about sleep isn't what you dream? What if something is awake while you're not? My name's Ethan. I'm 28. I work freelance video editing from home. I live alone in a small studio apartment in New Orleans. Nothing special about the place. 1 room, small kitchen, closet across from the bed, bathroom door to the left, old building, thin walls. I've never believed in ghosts, but I've always had problems sleeping. When I was a kid, my mom used to tell me I talked in my sleep, not just mumbling, full conversations. She said sometimes I would stop mid-sentence, like I was listening, like someone else was talking back. She assumed it was imaginary friend stuff. One night when I was around 6, she opened my bedroom door because she heard me whispering. She told me later that I was sitting up in bed, not lying down, sitting, facing the corner. She asked who I was talking to. Apparently I said, "They don't like when you come in." I don't remember that. As I got older, it didn't stop. I move around in my sleep. I whisper. Sometimes I wake up exhausted, even after 8 hours. My girlfriend used to joke about it. About a month ago, she suggested I download one of those sleep recorder apps, the kind that only activates when it detects sound. "Let's see what you're saying," she laughed. Seemed harmless. First couple nights were normal. Snoring, random words. One night I said, "Don't forget the keys." Nothing strange. On the 3rd night, I woke up feeling wrong. Not tired, just hollow, like I'd been active but not in control. I checked the app. 3 recordings. The first was just snoring. The second was me whispering, "Don't open it." Over and over. Same tone each time. Flat, calm. The 3rd recording was 7 minutes long. Timestamp, 3:33 a.m. That's cliche, I know. But I still remember staring at it longer than I should have. I hit play. At first, nothing. Then I heard movement. Not on the bed, not sheets. It sounded like fabric shifting on the floor. Slow pressure, like someone adjusting their weight. Then a voice, male, low, calm, close to the microphone. "He's almost ready." I froze. Another voice responded. Higher, strained, like it was speaking through clenched teeth. Heart rate spike at 312. Same pattern. They weren't whispering loudly. They weren't distant. They were in the room. Clear. The lower voice said, "He knows something's wrong." The other replied, "He still checks the closet." I stopped the recording. I do check the closet. Every night. Not because I think something's there. It's just habit. I tell myself it's just habit. I played it again. The voices continued like I wasn't even a person, like I was data. Fear response remained strong. He's more aware this cycle. Around 4 minutes in, I heard myself shift in bed. The voices cut off instantly. Dead silence. Then something dragged across the floor. Slow, heavy. There's nothing in my apartment heavy enough to drag, and I have carpet. Then I heard breathing directly into the phone mic. Not mine. Mine is shallow when I sleep. This was steady, controlled. It whispered my full name, then my date of birth, then my social security number, every digit. Correct. The recording ended. I didn't sleep the next night, or the one after that. Sleep deprivation messes with you fast. After about 24 hours awake, your thoughts get slower. After 36, you start second-guessing reality. By 48, you start seeing things out of the corner of your eye. On the 2nd night without sleep, I started noticing small things in my apartment. Nothing dramatic, just shifts. The floor near the foot of my bed would creak slightly, like weight settling. The air would feel heavy around 3 a.m. I checked the recording history. Every night I'd ever used the app, there was activity between 3:12 and 3:41. Even the first 2 normal nights. I just hadn't listened closely. The next night I stayed awake, phone in my hand, lights off. It hit 3:33 a.m. My phone screen lit up. Recording in progress. My chest tightened. I was completely silent. The room was silent, but near the corner of my room, the carpet dipped, slightly, like 2 feet standing side by side. Indentations. They stayed for maybe 3 seconds, then lifted. The recording stopped at 3:41 a.m. I didn't want to listen, but I did. It was mostly silence. Then the higher voice said, "He's degrading faster." The deeper voice replied, "He won't need much encouragement." Then I heard something that made my stomach drop. My voice, not sleepy, not slurred, clear, calm. "I can hear you now." I have no memory of saying that. I threw up in my bathroom after hearing it. The next day I called my mom. I asked her if I ever said anything else weird when I was a kid. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said there was one thing she never told me. When I was about 6, she woke up in the middle of the night because she heard 2 voices in my room. She assumed the TV was on. When she opened the door, I was sitting up again, facing the corner. But she swears she heard a second voice stop abruptly when she turned the knob. She asked who I was talking to. I told her, "They're waiting until I'm bigger." She thought I meant growing up, but she said the way I said it, it didn't sound like that. That night, I decided to try something. I moved my phone across the room, far from the bed, closer to the closet. If it was picking up me, it would sound distant. 3:33 a.m., recording activated. I stayed awake. Nothing happened. No carpet movement. No sounds. The recording ended at 3:41. I played it. At first silence, then footsteps. Clear footsteps. Walking from my bed toward the phone. The breathing started again. Closer. Then the higher voice said, "He's resisting." The deeper voice responded, "He always does." Then something new. "Show him." The audio shifted, and I heard something I can't explain. It sounded like fabric moving, but not on the floor, on the bed, right next to where I would have been lying. Then I heard myself, sleeping, breathing, even though I was awake when it recorded. It was the sound of me asleep, the version of me that should have been there. The deeper voice said, "See? He always sleeps eventually." The recording ended. I haven't slept properly since. It's the 14th tonight, the date they said. It's 3:19 a.m. right now. I've been awake for almost 60 hours. My body feels heavy. My thoughts feel slower. You can't outrun sleep forever. Eventually, your brain forces you under. And I'm starting to feel that pull, like something's sinking with it. Earlier tonight, I checked the closet. For the first time in my life, I didn't want to open it, but I did. Nothing inside, just clothes. But when I closed it, I swear the air pressure in the room changed, like the room adjusted, like something was already inside with me. It's 3:31 now, my phone is on the floor, near the closet. I didn't put it there. I keep telling myself this is sleep deprivation, that auditory hallucinations are common, that the brain can fabricate incredibly realistic experiences. But hallucinations don't leave audio files, and they don't know numbers you haven't thought about in years. If this recording activates tonight, and I don't wake up to stop it, I don't think they're just observing anymore. I think whatever they've been waiting for is about to finish. It's 3:33. The screen just lit up. Recording in progress. I can feel myself slipping. My eyes keep closing. There's a pressure in the room now, like someone standing behind me. I'm not turning around. I don't want to confirm it. If I upload this and nothing else after, then I guess the 14th meant what they said it meant. And if you ever use one of those sleep apps, just remember something. You assume you're recording yourself. But what if you're recording what your brain normally filters out? What if the reason we sleep is because we're not supposed to see what's active at the same time? Sometimes you're not the one dreaming. Sometimes you're the one being monitored. If there's another recording after this, I don't think it'll be me talking. Mirrors don't just reflect you, they confirm who you are. But what if one day your reflection stops copying you perfectly? My name is Mark. I'm 34. I've worked construction most of my adult life. Renovations, structural repair, historical restorations. If something's old and falling apart, I'm usually the guy they call. I've worked in a lot of old houses, Savannah, Georgia especially. That city has buildings that are older than most states. Wood beams that have absorbed humidity for over a century. Walls layered with generations of paint. Floorboards that know exactly where people used to walk. You spend enough time inside structures like that, you start noticing patterns, creaks that only happen at certain temperatures, doors that swell in summer, staircases that pop at 3 a.m. when the air shifts. There's always a logical reason, that's what I believed, until East Jones Street. The townhouse was built in the late 1800s. Narrow staircase, tall ceilings, original hardwood floors that complained even when you weren't stepping on them. The price was low, too low for that neighborhood. Seller said he needed it gone fast. No family history provided, no dramatic stories, just paperwork. I've flipped worse properties. I thought I got lucky. The upstairs master bathroom still had the original mirror. Huge thing, thick old glass, slightly warped around the edges. If you've never seen 19th century mirror glass, it's not like modern ones. It bends light subtly, makes your reflection feel softer, less precise. The first week was normal. Demo work, replacing pipes, removing old plaster. The house had normal old house sounds, nothing unusual. The first time I saw him, I didn't even register it as anything important. I was shaving. The bathroom light flickered once. Wiring hadn't been replaced yet. I glanced up. For a split second, I thought I saw something tall behind me. Then it was gone. I blamed the flicker. Second time happened 2 days later. Same mirror, same angle, but this time it lasted longer. Long enough to notice details. Tall, taller than the doorway behind me. Completely dark. Not shadow dark, darker than shadow, like the light just didn't exist on him, and a wide-brimmed hat. That detail's what stuck, because I've heard about that before. If you've ever gone down sleep paralysis forums online, there's a common figure people describe. Tall, featureless, wearing a hat. They call it the Hat Man. I don't read that stuff much, but I knew enough to recognize the description. Except I wasn't asleep. I wasn't paralyzed. I was holding a razor. I turned around immediately. Nothing. Empty hallway. When I looked back at the mirror, he was closer, not physically, but closer to my reflection. Like he was standing behind the version of me in the glass. His head tilted slightly. I hadn't moved. My reflection hadn't moved, but his head had. That's when I felt it. Not fear, assessment, like something evaluating me. I stepped away from the sink. The figure remained in the mirror for a half second after I moved, then vanished. That delay was small, but it wasn't right. Reflections don't lag. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept replaying it, trying to explain it. Lighting, stress, peripheral vision distortion. Construction work messes with your senses sometimes. Dust in your eyes, dehydration. The third time wasn't in the bathroom. It was the hallway window. It was dark outside. My reflection was faint in the glass, and there he was again, behind my left shoulder, closer than before. I didn't turn around this time. I just watched, slowly. I raised my hand. My reflection raised its hand. The figure didn't. It stayed still. Then a fraction of a second later, it copied the motion, like it was sinking. My chest tightened. Because hallucinations don't have latency. I stepped sideways. My reflection stepped sideways. The figure stayed where it was for just a beat too long, then snapped into position. That snap wasn't smooth. It was abrupt, like a frame skipped. I walked straight out of the house after that, sat in my truck for 20 minutes trying to steady my breathing. I told myself I was overtired. Old houses, bad wiring, brain-filling gaps. The next morning, I went back upstairs and removed the mirror. I wasn't planning to smash it. I just wanted it gone. But when I pulled it off the wall, it came loose too easily. Behind it was a hollow cavity between the studs. That wasn't original construction. Someone had carved space out deliberately. Inside the cavity, scratched deeply into the plaster, was the outline of a tall figure wearing a wide-brimmed hat. Same proportions, same posture. It wasn't artistic, it was obsessive. Layer after layer of scratches retracing the same shape. Like someone kept trying to get it right, or trying to trap it. Around the carving were dates, every 10 years, 1891, 1892, 1893, 1894, all the way to 2011. Next to each date was one word: taken, carved hard, deep enough that the plaster chipped. I stared at that wall for a long time. I didn't feel fear yet. I felt pattern recognition. Every 10 years. I checked records later that day. Public death archives. Every 10 years in January, someone tied to that property died. Owner, tenant, visitor. One fall down the stairs. One heart failure. One unexplained disappearance. 2011 was the last. January. I bought the house in December 2020. I stopped sleeping upstairs after that, set up a cot in the living room. I told myself it was just until renovations were done. But even downstairs, I started noticing something else. Presence. There's a thing climbers talk about. Third man syndrome. When you're alone in extreme conditions, your brain generates the feeling that someone is there with you, guiding you, watching you. I felt that constantly, especially near reflective surfaces, the microwave, the TV screen when it was off, my phone at night. One night around 3:12 a.m., I woke up suddenly. No nightmare, just alert. I stood up. The house was silent. Moonlight came through the front windows. There's an antique glass cabinet near the stairs. Old, imperfect glass. I saw my reflection faintly, and behind me, him, closer than ever. But this time something was wrong. He wasn't aligned with me. He stood slightly to the side, like he wasn't attached to my physical position anymore. I didn't move. My reflection didn't move. But he did. His head tilted slowly, studying. Then without thinking, I leaned forward slightly. My reflection leaned forward. He didn't. He stayed upright, watching the reflected version of me. Then, the reflected version of me tilted its head back at him. I didn't. My stomach dropped so hard I felt dizzy. I hadn't moved, but the version of me in the cabinet glass had. The Hat Man's hand lifted and rested on my reflection's shoulder. Not my real shoulder, the one in the glass. I stumbled backward. The reflection snapped back into sync instantly. He was gone. I sold the property 2 weeks later. Didn't finish it. Didn't argue price, just left. I thought distance would fix it. It didn't, because the sightings followed. Now it's store windows. Dark car windows at night. Bathroom mirrors in hotels. Always behind my left shoulder. Always just slightly off. And sometimes, when I look long enough, my reflection blinks half a second after I do. Sometimes it swallows when I haven't. Sometimes its posture corrects before mine does. And the worst part? Sometimes it doesn't look scared. It looks calm, like it knows something I don't. There's something I didn't mention earlier. Under the final date carved in the drywall, 2011, there was another one faintly started. 2021, not fully carved, just scratched once, like someone was interrupted. January 2021 was when I first saw him clearly. I've done enough structural work to understand load-bearing systems. When something is supporting weight, you don't remove it carelessly. What if the mirror wasn't the access point? What if it was containment? What if smashing it wasn't freeing myself, but freeing it? The last thing I'll say, 2 nights ago I was brushing my teeth. I looked up. My reflection was staring straight ahead. I hadn't looked up yet. It corrected itself immediately, but it was too late. I saw it. It's learning the timing. If you ever see something in your reflection, don't turn around immediately. Watch carefully, move slowly. If it mirrors you perfectly, you're fine. If it lags, if it anticipates, if it interacts with the version of you inside the glass, you're not being haunted, you're being evaluated. And if every 10 years something gets taken, maybe it isn't death, maybe it's exchange. Maybe the one inside steps out, and the one outside steps in. I avoid mirrors now, but I can't avoid every reflection. And sometimes, when I pass dark glass at night, I don't look at the figure behind me anymore. I look at the version of me standing next to him, and I try to figure out which one of us moved first. If you've ever driven alone at night, you know the feeling. that something is out there, waiting. My name's David. I'm 41. I've been driving long haul for about 15 years, mostly Southwest routes, Arizona to Texas, Nevada sometimes. Long stretches where you can go 40 miles without seeing another car. If you've never driven desert highways at night, it's hard to explain what it does to your head. During the day, it's nothing. Dry land, heat shimmer, mountains in the distance. At night, it's different. Your headlights don't light the world. They just carve out a narrow tunnel in front of you. Everything outside that beam feels endless, like you're moving through something that doesn't want to be seen. After a few hours, your brain starts drifting. You're awake, but not sharp. You miss mile markers. You forget the last 10 minutes of road. They call it highway hypnosis. It doesn't mean you're asleep. It means your brain is on autopilot. That night it was raining, not heavy, just steady enough to make the asphalt shine black like oil. It was around 1:30 a.m., cold for Arizona. I'd been driving 6 hours straight, felt fine, not exhausted, just that dull, drifting feeling. That's when my headlights hit him, standing on the shoulder, middle of nowhere. No hazard lights, no vehicle, no backpack, nothing. Just a man facing the road. At first I thought maybe he was holding something, maybe a phone. But no, his arms were down at his sides. Still, not waving, not pacing, just waiting. Company policy says don't pick up hitchhikers. But out there, if someone's stranded, you don't just leave them. That dessert drops below freezing at night in January. So I slowed down. As I got closer, something felt off. It wasn't what he was doing. It was what he wasn't doing. Most stranded people look desperate. They wave. They step forward. They move. He didn't react at all to an 18-wheeler slowing down beside him. I pulled onto the shoulder and unlocked the passenger door. He walked up slowly, opened it, climbed in, closed the door. No thank you, no nod, no eye contact, just sat facing forward. Silence filled the cab immediately. And I don't mean awkward silence. I mean heavy silence. You ever sit next to someone and instantly feel like something isn't right? Like your body picks up on it before your mind does? That's what it felt like. I kept my voice normal. Where you headed? Nothing. You got a car out here? No response, not even a shift in posture. And then I noticed something small. I couldn't hear him breathing. In a truck cab that quiet, you hear everything. Fabric shifting, boots adjusting, breathing. There was nothing, just rain hitting the windshield. I glanced at him quickly. Dashboard light gave his skin a pale green tint. It looked smooth, too smooth. No stubble, no pores, no lines, like wax. I told myself it was the lighting. Low light messes with facial recognition. I focused on the road. 5 miles passed. Then I noticed his clothes were wet from the rain. Dark jacket, water glistening on the shoulders. But the seat beneath him wasn't darkening. No moisture soaking in. No drip, just dry fabric. That's when my chest tightened a little. I reached into my jacket pocket. Smoke? That's when he turned, slowly, and I saw his face, or what should have been one. There were no features, no eyes, no nose, no mouth, no indentations where they'd been removed. Just smooth, pale skin stretched flat, perfectly blank. For a second, my brain didn't accept it. It tried to correct it. Tried to place eyes where shadows should be, tried to find a mouth in the curve of light. But there was nothing there, just surface. My hands went cold on the wheel. He kept facing me, not moving. Where eyes should have been, there were faint, shallow dips, like outlines that hadn't been filled in yet. That's when something deeper hit me, not panic, recognition. Like my body knew something was incomplete, and incomplete things aren't safe. I slammed the brakes and pulled hard onto the shoulder. The truck rocked. Gravel sprayed. I threw it in park and jumped out into the rain without thinking. My boots hit wet asphalt and I just stood there breathing hard, telling myself I was overtired. That stress can cause visual distortions, that the brain sometimes fails to process faces correctly. When I finally looked back into the cab, the seat was empty, door closed. No sign anyone had been there. but the seat cushion was slightly compressed, like weight had just lifted, and the air inside the cab looked wrong. I can't explain that part. Not fogged, not smoky, just dense. I climbed back in slowly. The passenger seat was dry, completely dry, but the cab smelled different. Wet soil and something faintly burnt, like overheated wiring. I drove to the next truck stop without stopping. Didn't sleep, didn't even shut off the engine. The next morning I checked the dash cam. The footage showed everything. Me slowing down, me pulling over, passenger door opening, seat dipping slightly, but no body entering, no figure, no shadow, just empty air moving inward. That part messed with me more than the face, because that meant either I imagined the whole thing or something was there that didn't show up properly. I called Highway Patrol, kept it vague, asked if there were any accidents near that mile marker. The dispatcher hesitated, then told me 20 years ago, almost exactly to the day, there was a fatal hit and run at that stretch. Young male pedestrian, struck by a semi, body recovered, head never found. I didn't ask any more questions. I wish I had stopped thinking about it there, but it didn't stop. A week later, I was driving again. Different route, different state. Around 2 a.m., I felt the passenger seat shift slightly. Just a small compression, like someone adjusting their posture. I didn't look. I kept my eyes forward. Told myself it was uneven road, but I could feel the weight. Subtle, present. And then I heard something. Not breathing, not movement, just a faint sound. Just like skin stretching. It lasted maybe half a second. Then silence. After that, I started noticing something worse. Mirrors. Side mirrors at night reflect your own face faintly when the cab is dark. Sometimes, when I glance at them, my reflection looks slightly delayed, just a fraction of a second behind. It corrects instantly. But that lag is there. I tested it once. Stared directly at the side mirror. Turned my head quickly. For a split second, my reflection didn't move. It stayed facing forward. Then it snapped into alignment. That's when real fear hit me. Because on the highway, mirrors are everything. They confirm what's around you, what's behind you, and who you are. Lately, when the road is empty and rain hits just right, I feel the passenger seat shift again. Sometimes heavier, sometimes closer, and I don't look anymore. Because I'm not scared of seeing a faceless thing. I'm scared of seeing something forming. There's something about faces. They stabilize identity. You see yourself, and your brain confirms you're you. But what if something doesn't have that structure? What if it needs one? And proximity helps. The last time it happened was 3 nights ago. I glanced in the mirror, and for half a second, my reflection's face was smooth. No features, just pale surface. Then my eyes appeared, then my nose, then my mouth, like something rendering. It corrected instantly. If anyone else was in the cab, they wouldn't have seen it, but I did. And I don't know if that was a glitch in my brain or something testing alignment. I still drive. Bills don't stop. Life doesn't stop. But I don't pick up hitchhikers anymore. Not ever. And I don't stare into mirrors longer than I need to. Because one of these nights, when I check that side mirror and my face doesn't come back right away, I won't know which version is real. And on a road that empty, there's nowhere to pull over. Everyone thinks their home is safe until they find out someone else has been living there too. My name's Sarah. I'm 29. I work in marketing for a mid-sized tech company in Los Angeles. Nothing exciting. Long hours. Traffic that drains your soul. Weekends spent convincing yourself the rent is worth it. About a year ago, I rented a small 1940s bungalow near Silver Lake. Hardwood floors, tiny kitchen, narrow hallway, 1 bedroom. There was an attic space with one of those square, pull-down panels in the ceiling. I remember thinking it felt cozy, private, safe. I live alone. That part matters. The first weird thing was the food. A yogurt missing, 2 slices of bread gone, a juice box I'd bought specifically for work, gone the next morning. At first, I blamed myself. I meal prep sometimes. I snack at night. I figured I forgot. Life gets repetitive. Your brain autopilots. So I ignored it. Then my phone charger started unplugging overnight. I plug it into the same outlet every single night, right side of my bed. 3 separate mornings, it wasn't charging. The cord was just hanging. I assumed maybe I knocked it loose while sleeping. Again, I let it go. The ceiling noises started a few weeks later, directly above my bed. Slow creaks, not random house-settling pops, not scratching, not scurrying. Careful shifts, like someone distributing their weight. The attic didn't have flooring, just beams and insulation. You'd have to step precisely up there. The sounds were precise. I would lie awake staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, telling myself it was raccoons. Everyone I mentioned it to said the same thing. It's LA, wildlife, relax. I wanted that to be true, but raccoons don't move like that. They're chaotic. This was controlled. Then small things started changing. My bathroom cabinet slightly open in the morning. Kitchen drawer shifted a few inches. One night I folded the living room blanket neatly over the couch arm. The next morning it was folded differently, tighter, straighter, like someone else had done it. You don't realize how much you memorize your own patterns until they shift. There was one night that almost broke me. I got up around 2 a.m. to use the bathroom. As I stepped into the hallway, I heard something above me, a soft weight shift, then stillness. I froze. The house felt like it was holding its breath. I stood there for a full minute, staring at the attic panel. It didn't move. I told myself it was the wood contracting from temperature change. I went back to bed. The next morning, the attic panel looked slightly misaligned, just barely. Enough that I noticed, but not enough to be obvious. That's when I started researching, and I came across the term frogging, people secretly living inside someone else's home, not breaking in and leaving, staying. Attics, crawl spaces, unused basements, coming out when the homeowner sleeps. There were confirmed cases in California, one only 20 minutes from where I lived. I didn't sleep that night. The next day I bought a Ring camera, mounted it in the living room facing the hallway. Perfect angle to see the attic panel and my bedroom door. For 3 nights, nothing happened. Empty hallway, still house. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined everything. Then Tuesday happened, 2:17 a.m. I didn't wake up when it happened. I saw it the next morning while checking notifications before work. Motion detected. I opened the clip. The attic panel shifted, slowly, deliberately. It didn't drop. It slid to the side. A hand appeared, pale, thin, dirt under the nails. Then a head. A man crawled out of my attic. He moved carefully, lowered himself down without making noise, closed the panel softly behind him. He didn't look confused, didn't hesitate. He walked straight toward my bedroom, like he'd done it before. He opened my door a few inches and stood there, watching me. 7 minutes. I checked the timestamp 3 times. 7 full minutes of him just standing in my doorway, not moving, not touching anything, just watching. At one point, he leaned slightly forward, like he was trying to hear my breathing. Then he stepped back, went into the kitchen, opened my fridge, took a yogurt, ate it standing there, wiped his mouth with his sleeve, walked back to the hallway, climbed into the attic, closed the panel. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed staring at the footage. My body felt cold, not scared yet, just hollow, like the world shifted sideways. The police arrived fast. They searched the attic. There was a sleeping bag tucked between beams, water bottles, protein bar wrappers, a small camping lantern, and taped to one of the beams, a printed photo of me, taken from the hallway, while I was asleep. The officer told me this happens more than people realize. Usually someone looking for shelter, sometimes someone who becomes fixated. He said something that still makes me uncomfortable. They start thinking it's their home too. They didn't catch him. He had cut through a small vent opening and slipped into the neighbor's yard before officers fully surrounded the house. He'd mapped my home. Forensics estimated he'd been up there 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months of ceiling shifts, 2 to 3 months of him listening to my phone calls, listening to me shower, listening to me cry one night after a bad day at work. There's something about knowing someone memorized your life. The part that keeps replaying in my head isn't the footage. It's something I didn't notice until later. 3 nights before I installed the camera, I woke up in the middle of the night. I thought I heard breathing, not from above, from my bedroom. I stayed completely still. My room was dark. I couldn't see anything. After about 10 seconds, I convinced myself it was my imagination. Now I'm not sure. I moved out 2 weeks later, high-rise downtown. Concrete ceilings, security downstairs, key fob elevator, objectively safe. But trauma doesn't care about objective safety. Every night when it gets quiet, I listen. I wake up randomly around 2:17 a.m. No alarm, no sound, just awake. Sometimes I swear I hear something above me, even though there's nothing above my unit but reinforced concrete. Sometimes I hesitate before opening my fridge, because part of me expects something to be missing. The worst part isn't that he was there, it's that I normalized it. I adjusted. I explained away signs of invasion. If he had been quieter, if I hadn't bought that camera, I might still be living there, still sleeping under him, still telling my friends it was raccoons. There's something deeply unsettling about how adaptable we are, how easily we convince ourselves we're safe. I don't think about him as a monster. That would be easier. He was a person, with lungs, with hunger, with patience, and he was above my bed every night, waiting for me to fall asleep. Now, when people say they live alone, I think differently. You can lock your doors, you can set alarms, you can install cameras. But the most dangerous place isn't outside your home. It's the space you don't check, the space above you, the space you assume is empty. Because sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the scariest things aren't ghosts. They're the ones that can breathe. If you made it to the end, you probably like being uncomfortable. Subscribe. There's more.